The external walls of this house are made from hemcrete. Hemcrete is a remarkable material. The hemp itself in this building, it was grown in Victoria, mixed with a Sydney-made lime binder and some sand, water. That's poured within a formwork, tamped down to kind of create these stratified layers that you can see. From a building designer's perspective, it creates an almost perfect material. It's highly insulative with an R value of about 4. It regulates internal moisture really well, keeping that internal humidity at about 40 to 60%, which is ideal for minimising any health conditions and respiratory issues. It's extremely fireproof and could go into any bushfire-prone area in Australia. It's termite resistant due to the lime being a retardant to termite activity. It's extremely durable. This home, you'd have to come at this with an angle grinder now, and hopefully this will be here in 7 generations hence, which is really the ethos of the whole project. You can see here that we're on a timber subfloor rather than a concrete slab. The primary reason we've done that is just to avoid concrete. Cement production accounts for about 8% of global CO2 emissions and doesn't really have a place in a net zero future. We were able to get this house to get to 8.2 stars in NatHERS without any thermal mass, just relying on good passive solar design and insulation. Additionally, the passive house methodologies, the air tightness, heat recovery, ventilation and thermal break minimisation mean that effectively the house should perform more like a 9.1, 9.2 star house. All of that without any concrete in a fairly cool area. There are some secondary reasons why we've avoided putting it on a slab as well, primarily that the landscape itself is, whilst not a designated flood overlay, just prone to overland water flows and trying to minimise any risk there, particularly with this 30 million litre dam just behind the house. Additionally, contrary to some popular opinion, having the house up on steel stumps that are exposed to the light, to ventilation, to inspection is a great way to allow for termite management. There have been plenty of houses in the area that have failed with concrete slabs with termites coming up through the penetrations. And so having a way where we can monitor and stay abreast of any termite activity is a really viable strategy here in the bush. People often ask, why is this roof the shape that it is? Why is it so unusual? The number one reason is for managing solar gain into the house. The key thing is this sort of leading edge on the roof point here. By offsetting that horizontally, it means that the steep summer sun isn't able to make it into any of those windows on the north side. Additionally, by offsetting that ridge point vertically, it means that the low sun can come through totally unimpeded right through the very heads of the windows and provide this deep, lovely solar penetration in the depths of winter. This means that from October to February, there is no sun getting into any of those northern windows. It's totally excluded. And then from April to August, that sun is totally flooding those spaces with that lovely natural warmth and light.
So something that's pretty unique about our home is that it's a co-living project. So it's specifically designed to be shared with other people. So we're imagining, 10 to 15 residents sharing this whole property, living together, not just next to each other. So a communal living situation. So we've designed the house with that in mind to actually encourage social connection. And one of the ways we've done that is by just having one big kitchen. It was not only easier for zoning laws to just get one house with one kitchen, but also, features like this one long hallway in the bedroom wing, the west wing, where to come out of their bedrooms and go and use the kitchen and the communal living areas, we actually have to pass each other. So that was very intentionally designed so that we get that incidental social interaction that means that you actually feel connected to the people that you live with. So some of the features that we've added to make this house accessible are, really simple things like lever handles on doors, lever handles on sinks, wider doorways throughout the house, wider hallways. We've got 2 bathrooms, both of which have really wide entrances and are quite accessible, but this is our particularly accessible bathroom. So it's got, I'm here in the shower recess, it's got no sort of doors or threshold whatsoever. And then we'll have a compost toilet here as well, which will have rails to help with transfers on and off the toilet and transfers in and out of the shower or on and off a wheelchair. We've got a basin which can fit a wheelchair under it. And we've also got 2 doors at the front of the house, which is quite unusual. One of them's a sliding door, which is a bit heavier, and the other one's a hinge door. And so that just accommodates different abilities. Some might find each door a little bit easier to use. And of course, the main one is that the house is designed as a single level house, and there's actually no steps or thresholds whatsoever in the whole house. And we have a ramp leading up to the front porch, and then a seamless transition from the ramp into the house.
Probably the most unusual sustainability aspect of this house is the amount of shared resources. Say, this home's 320 square metres. Average new house in Australia is 230 square metres. And whilst that house is accommodating 3 people, this house is intended to accommodate 12 to 14 people. That's 90 square metres per person in the average house, and that's about 30 square metres per person in this house. So effectively, we're using about a third of the embodied energy per person for this home, but also sharing, just one fridge to supply 4 families rather than 4 fridges, 1 washing machine, 1 dishwasher. A lot of these things don't sort of increase in a linear way. There's a lot of savings to be had from coming together and pooling our resources. I think that's pretty cool, and hopefully that's our biggest contribution to the conversation about how to make sustainable housing.